A piercing cry suddenly broke from the ruins. From a pile of debris, a surviving Xenos of monstrous size emerged, its warped limbs pulsating with grotesque life, as though birthed from the deepest pits of hell. Its eyes burned with a green fire as it released a scream that shook the ground beneath them. "He's calling reinforcements!" Kayan shouted, raising his bolter. Before Dagan could respond, the sky tore apart in flames. The atmosphere trembled as a massive Xenos cruiser descended through the clouds. Its colossal engines caused the ground to quake, and thousands of Xenos soldiers began to disembark. "It's a trap!" Dagan growled, clenching his teeth. Now, the TRUE battle was just beginning. With the first gleams of a blood-red sunset illuminating the shattered battlefield, Dagan Choctaw realized that the world they fought to protect had been forever altered. The massive Xenos cruiser loomed overhead like a silent bird of death, casting an ominous shadow over the ruins as if heralding a new wave of terror. From the depths of the cruiser, numerous transport modules began disgorging merciless Xenos armed to the teeth. Dust and smoke swirled in the air, concealing their horrifying faces, yet their aggressive cries and roars pierced the tumult of battle. Without a moment's hesitation, Dagan barked out his command. "White Scars to battle! Disperse and take up positions for a crushing assault." Kayan, ever swift and resolute, immediately organized a squad for close combat. His fighters surged forward like a pack of wolves, ready to strike a lethal blow and then retreat to regroup. This was the Legion's tactic. Engage swiftly, withdraw, and then launch a renewed offensive, with precision and without delay. Their bikes roared over the wreckage, leaving trails of dust and blood behind, while the burst of their bolters became a defiant cry in the name of the Imperium. Deep in Dagan's heart, fear mingled with raw fury. Images of fallen brothers flashed through his mind, their anguished cries, their parting glances, sacrifices made in the name of war. But there was no room for weakness. Raising his combat sword as a symbol of eternal will, he declared with steely resolve, "For honor, for the Imperium, for the White Scars." With these words, a new offensive began. Dagan led his unit, breaking through the enemy ranks. His sword, flashing amid the chaos of battle, left deep, fateful wounds on the bodies of the Xenos. Each strike was precise and lethal, as if cutting through the very fabric of destiny. In his eyes burned an unwavering determination to uphold the Legion's honor, even as the enemy numbers swelled. Explosive flashes, bolts of fiery energy from bolter fire, and the fierce glow of battle created an apocalyptic scene. The sky was painted in blood-red hues, while dust and debris filled every corner of the shattered world. In this chaos, the boundaries between life and death blurred. The ghosts of the fallen mingled with the shadows of those who might never return home. The sounds of the charge merged with screams and cries of anguish, forming a symphony of devastation. The Xenos commander, witnessing the rapid escalation of chaos, realized that his plan was unraveling. His once deadly claws, now barely fending off the relentless assault of the brave Imperium warriors, faltered under the might of the White Scars. In one fateful moment, his gaze met Dagan's, a look filled with silent reproach and unyielding resolve. A new deadly duel ignited between them, where every second could be the last. Dagan knew there was little time. A wave of enemies advanced relentlessly, and even a brief hesitation could spell catastrophe. His thoughts crystallized like never before. Every battle is an exam of faith and resilience, a trial that strips soldiers of their humanity, while simultaneously rekindling a spirit capable of withstanding the most horrifying torments. He recalled his mentor's words, forged in the crucible of countless bloody conflicts. In battle, there are no coincidences, only destiny, and it favors the brave. With that conviction, Dagan rallied his fighters around him, and together they surged forward as one. Every soldier understood that now was not the time for doubt. It was the moment for the decisive blow, when fears and pains coalesced into one unquenchable flame. In their hearts burned a fire strong enough to melt even the coldest enemy armor. Cries, the clamor of battle, and the anguished screams of the dying merged into an endless chorus heralding the dawn of a new era of war. At that moment, as the setting sun symbolized both an end and a beginning, Dagon and his legion, like wild beasts, plunged into the fray, resolute that even if this battle were their last, their valor would forever live on in the legends of the Imperium. And so, amid the ruins, ash, and blood, a new chapter in the chronicle of the White Scars was written in fire and steel, leaving an indelible mark upon the heart of endless war. Final chapter, Song of Steel and Storms. The roar of engines filled Dagon Choctaw's ears as a new wave of Xenos surged from the shattered cruiser. The sky darkened with storm clouds, merging with the smoke of battle. Rain poured over the torn earth, mixing with blood and ash to form rivers of mud. Dagon's helmet was off, his long hair clinging to his face, and his eyes burned with determination. He knew this would be their final stand on this world. Kayan, grim and silent, approached him. "We can only break through, Commander. We've been here too long." "Breaking through isn't our only option," Dagon replied, his voice low but firm. "We can destroy the cruiser. That will stop the Xenos reinforcements and give us a chance to save our brothers." Kayan frowned. "Destroy the cruiser? We won't even make it past these waves." Dagon met his gaze. "We will find a way. We are White Scars. No road is impassable for us." With the first roll of thunder, the battle began anew. The White Scars' bikes tore across the field like lightning, leaving trails of dust and destruction. Though the Xenos outnumbered them, they couldn't match the speed of the Legion. Each warrior struck quickly, tearing through the enemy lines before disappearing again in a whirlwind of motion. Dagon led the charge personally, his sword, bathed in blood-red light, cut through air and flesh alike. He moved without pause, a war god incarnate, with every strike bringing him closer to his goal. His bike roared as it surged over craters and debris, each leap a deadly dance between life and death. Kayan covered his flank, firing his bolter with unerring accuracy and cutting down one Xenos after another. Despite his wounds, his resolve was unshaken. He knew if anyone could change the battle's course, it was Dagon. The Xenos commander watched the unfolding chaos from the height of his command bridge, his dark eyes burning with hatred. He understood that the White Scars would never surrender and that their mobility was the key to their strength. "Reinforce the cruiser's defenses," he hissed in his twisted tongue. "We will not let them get close." The Xenos began fortifying the perimeter around their landing site, deploying artillery and heavy armor. But the White Scars had no intention of stopping. Dagon crested a hill overlooking the cruiser. Only a few hundred meters remained. His heart pounded like a forge hammer, but he knew the hardest battle of his life lay ahead. "Kayan, we're breaking through. Secure the flanks and provide covering fire." Kayan nodded, firing at a nearby group of Xenos to clear Dagon's path. A barrage of fire rained down on the White Scars. Xenos bolts sliced through the air, exploding the ground and scattering debris. Several legionnaires fell, but the rest pressed on, driven by their commander's unyielding will. One of the blasts exploded dangerously close to Dagon, throwing his bike off balance. He barely regained control and glanced at Kayan, who was locked in desperate close combat, holding off the rear. Dagon surged forward into the heart of the battle. His sword met each enemy with fury worthy of legend. They broke through to the cruiser. The giant metal hull loomed above them, a symbol of terror and death. "Kayan, we're planting the charge! Hold the line!" Kayan turned and braced for the final defense. Dagon climbed the cruiser's hull like an ancient warrior scaling the cliffs of fate. He found a weak spot in the plating and began placing the explosives. Time slowed. Every heartbeat was a thunderclap. The Xenos began bringing in reinforcements. Wave after wave crashed down on Kayan and the remaining warriors. They stood like rocks amidst the storm. Bolters emptied, blades crossed, and blood flowed in torrents. Kayan, his blade unsheathed, fought his last battle. His body was covered in wounds, but his spirit remained unbroken. He knew his task, to buy Dagon time, and he did. The charge was set. Dagon looked at the cruiser, now a symbol of both their victory and sacrifice. "White Scars, fall back," he shouted. They fled, leaving behind the field of death. Kayan collapsed onto the ground, barely breathing, but saw Dagon reaching out a hand. "We did it, brother," Dagon said. A massive explosion tore through the sky. The cruiser, struck from within, erupted in a fiery maelstrom, sending flames to the stars. The earth trembled and the air filled with the sound of victory. The Xenos were defeated. Dagon stood atop the ruins, gazing at the blood-red sunset. His heart was heavy, but he knew the memory of the fallen would live on in their deeds and legends. The White Scars never die. They become part of the eternal storm. And so the battle ended, leaving scars on the land and in their hearts. But the spirit of the White Scars, like the storm winds, would live forever.